Hey, what's up, everybody? So I thought today what we would do is go through a few different NFL power rankings. I'll go through ESPN, The Athletic, as well as NFL.com, and I want to see where everyone is ranking the Packers right now after starting 1-1, losing to the Minnesota Vikings week 1, beating the Chicago Bears week 2, now, of course, coming into week 3, facing off a much better team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than we did the Bears last week. But I want to read here through each and sort of see where they have the Packers ranked. So I want to start off with ESPN, and let's see what they have here. So Bills number 1. Not shocking, the Bills have been dominant these first couple games on offense as well as defense. The Chiefs also at 2-0. I think that there's not too much disagreement there with the way that Patrick Mahomes has been able to, consistently move the ball in offense, even without Tyreek Hill being there. Then we have the Buccaneers ranked number 3 overall at 2-0, which I think sort of just shows you this is going to be a much tougher matchup for the Packers this week, considering when we look at the Bears, overall, not a great team. The Buccaneers, on the other hand, especially on defense, have been very dominant, only allowing, I think, a total of 13 points through 2 games versus both the Cowboys and the Saints this past week. So the Buccaneers will be without, Mike Evans. It's been official now after Mike Evans appealed that he will not be playing. So it's going to be much tougher for the offense to move the ball. We'll see if Julio or Chris Godwin are back. But the Buccaneers still a very solid team, especially on the defensive side of the ball right now. Then we have the Rams sitting at 1-1. Still a solid team with Matthew Stafford. The Dolphins have looked great, especially with that Tua comeback against the Baltimore Ravens. Lots of people were doubting Tua coming into this year. But he throws 6 touchdown passes, and clearly it helps having, Jalen Waddle, as well as Tyreek Hill. Then they have the Chargers, 6 overall, with the starting off 1-1. And so then we have the Packers at 7 out of 32. I like this ranking. I think it's a solid ranking right now. 1-1. Last week ranked 8th, moved up to 7th with a win over the Bears. And so this article also has early adjustments for each team to make. And they say here, get quarterback Aaron Rodgers in rhythm. Even Rodgers admitted his stats in week 2 against the Bears looked a little better than he and the offense actually performed. This was better than week 1, Rodgers said, but we got to be better than this if we want to compete with Tampa. True. A fumbled handoff exchange by Rodgers and a mistimed shotgun snap by Josh Myers were signs the offense is still trying to work out the early season kinks. So we saw this in week 2, the Packers' ability to run the ball against the Bears defense, and now with Devontae Adams gone, with his offense a little different than last year, we're going to need to rely on the run a lot more coming into these next few games, the rest of the season. And I'm curious to see, what a team like the Buccaneers, who have a much better defense than the Bears, will do to try to shut down, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And if they are able to, keep this Packers running game in check, will the receivers be able to step up, and will this passing offense be able to step up and respond if the, opposing team takes away the Packers' strong suit right now, which is running the ball? We'll see what happens. So 7th overall in this ranking, the Eagles 8th. Eagles have looked really good. Ravens 9th. Niners 10th. So I like that ranking. So let's move on to The Athletic and see where they rank the Packers. So we got the Bills topping it off once again. No surprise there. Chiefs once again. Not surprised there. Then they have the Eagles at 3rd, which the Eagles have looked insanely good, especially Jalen Hurts. I'm very satisfied with myself that I picked him in fantasy. He carried me to a victory last week along with Stephon Diggs. But the Eagles have looked really good. And one thing that is interesting about this Eagles team is when we look at the Eagles playing against Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. They absolutely shut down the Vikings. I think Jefferson had only like 50 or 60 yards. And we compare that to week 1 with the Packers' inability to stop Justin Jefferson. I'm curious to see what the Vikings do going forward, because week 1, the Vikings looked like one of the better teams in the NFL. And it comes to show you how in 1 week things can drastically change. So props to the Eagles for shutting down this Vikings team that looked unstoppable versus the Packers. Then here they have the Buccaneers at number 4, so still a very solid team, as opposed to 3 for ESPN. And then let's see, 5, we got the Rams up here once again. We have the, nice picture there. We have the Dolphins at 6th at 2-0. We have the Chargers at 7th, so they've ranked the Packers lower on The Athletic than 7th. Baltimore Ravens ahead of the Packers, 1-1. How far are we going? Vikings ahead of the Packers, 2. They say this. I just want to read it. There's no joke you can make about Kirk Cousins' Monday Night Football record that wouldn't be semi-believable. Other than just statistical noise, the most realistic reason is probably just that he's a huge Garfield fan. Imagine him throwing one of those big old tire steaks in the middle of some pasta in an effort to make lasagna. I don't know if I get that that reference, cracking himself up in the huddle by making a joke about just wanting to be normal. I'm not a Garfield fan, so I have no idea what that means. But anyways, the Vikings ahead of the Packers. And then we have the Packers right behind the Vikings at 10th. So 7th in ESPN, 10th for the Athletic. They say this, in terms of offensive improvement, only the Rams, 49ers, and Jets made a bigger jump in EPA per drive rank from week 1 to week 2. That's what's getting Aaron Jones more involved, and playing a worse defense will do for you. This week will figure to be a much tougher test. So the interesting thing about the NFC North is now we are all sitting at 1-1. The Bears lost after beating the 49ers week 1. The Vikings lost after beating the Packers week 1. So everyone is sitting at 1-1, and we'll see if the Vikings can bounce back. I still think overall the Packers are better than the Vikings. I think that as the season goes by, we'll see that. Maybe I'll be right. Maybe I'll be wrong. My NFC North predictions to start the year were Packers 1, Vikings 2, Lions 3, and Bears 4. So I'm not sure how it's going to finish off, but people still see the Packers as a top 10 team, which I think when you have Rodgers, when you have the defense we do have, which is going to really need to show up this next week against Tom Brady, I'm curious to see if we can continue, the dominance. We only allowed 10 points. We did struggle against the run. We'll see what happens week 3 versus, Leonard Fournette and that the Buccaneers offense. Then to finish it off here, we have NFL.com. Bills again. So the Bills run the top here in all 3 sites. Number 1, Chiefs as well. They have the Eagles high. No shock there. The Buccaneers. And then here we have actually the highest ranking for the Packers out of all ESPN, The Athletic, and NFL.com. They have the Packers 5th, which I like that. I like to see the Packers ranked high. So they say this, Aaron Rodgers still owns the Bears. Facts. And Matt LaFleur is still undefeated, 10-0, coming off a loss as Packers head coach. Rodgers shook off the disappointments of week 1 with an efficient performance against Chicago that included 2 touchdown passes and just 6 incompletions in 25 attempts. The ever underrated Aaron Jones was close to unstoppable. 8.8 yards per carry, insane. And the defense stepped up with a goal line stand against Justin Fields that short-circuited an attempt by the Bears to add some drama into this one-sided rivalry. The Packers need to clean up some things. They're up to 4 fumbles in 2 weeks. Not great. But this is not a team to worry about. And so this week, I think it is a very big test for the Packers because we saw week 1, didn't look great. Week 2, we come in, respond well, but it was against, I say, a not very good Chicago Bears team. We saw the Packers rely on the run, which after week 1, Matt LaFleur said he wanted to do. We saw just how dominant Aaron Jones can be when we allow them to run the ball consistently. And the thing is, what's going to happen when a team shuts down the run and we aren't able to run? And the question is, will they even be able to? Because we've seen the Packers, they have one of the best backfields in the NFL. And to have Elton Jenkins back clearly helps his O-line. And to have Lazard back as a blocking receiver clearly helps as well. He only had 2 receptions for 13 yards, but we saw his ability to block. Sammy Watkins as well, his ability to block. So this Packers team is much different than last year, and it's going to be interesting to see if we can keep it up. Also on the defensive side of the ball, can we stop Tom Brady? Can we keep Leonard Fournette in check? Because the Packers last week, even though we held the Bears to 10 points, allowed something like a lot of rushing yards. I can't remember the exact stat, but a lot of rushing yards to David Montgomery and the Bears. So can the Packers hold up on the D-line? Can the Packers stop the run? And will this offense be able to keep things going against a much, much better Tampa Bay Buccaneers team? So I like the rankings. We're in the top 10 in all 3 categories. Hopefully it stays that way coming into this next week. And I think that after this next week, we'll have a much better idea of exactly what this Packers team looks like, facing off against a much more talented Buccaneers team. But those are my thoughts. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, where you think the Packers should be ranked. I honestly think top 10 is still solid for the Packers. In that 5 to 10 range, I think it makes sense when you look at other teams around them. I do think the Chiefs, Bills look better. The Buccaneers look a little better. The Chargers look pretty solid. The Eagles. So there are lots of teams competing right now for the top spots here in the NFL. But that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.